Rachel Flowers here, all the way out in California, multi-instrumentalist, keyboard, violin, Chapman stick. So Rachel, thanks for taking a few minutes to come on.
You're welcome.
So instead of us going too far in the past, let's find out what you're working on now that might interest the fans out there.
I've been composing some jazz influenced compositions.
Oh, okay.
It's I'm not sure when it's going to be finished yet, but it's still a work in progress. I'm currently in the middle of working on a jazz vocal album.
Oh, very nice.
And it's all original material, so it's not jazz standards, it's all original material.
Oh, that's better yet. Now, who's in the band? You have a
Um well, for the most part it's just me, and then there's three songs where my friend Paul Taverner plays live brushes,
okay.
drums, and then three other songs need live horn players, and I'm not sure how we're going to figure that out.
Oh, we're gonna get it done.
Okay.
So you have a record that you're going to have out
Hopefully
year?
by the end of this year, yeah.
Oh, great. That's great. And let's talk about Bigger on the Inside. That was a very good record.
Thank you.
I liked it. It had a lot of good parts. And then you were playing electric guitar on that.
Yep.
So when did you learn that? Have you been studying electric guitar also?
I think that was self-taught for the most part. I don't
Okay.
remember. I can't remember what was it.
Oh, you were little.
I was little.
Oh, okay.
But
So
my mom,
You were in high school.
yeah, I was in high school, and my mom played me Jose Feliciano. It
no,
was,
nice.
yeah, so what was it? It was a compilation, but it had a lot of live tracks from his Live Alivo album.
Oh, okay.
It's
Have you
like
ever,
a
go ahead.
stripped down guitar, bass, drums, percussion, and renditions of songs like Light My Fire and
Oh, nice.
California Dreamin'. It's really cool stuff.
So, what were some of the early music you listened to that what was some of the influences?
Oh, it's like when I was getting started, kind
Yeah,
of.
what it's like when you started listening to music, I know you create these songs out of just so easily, but who were you
Mhm.
listening to as a kid?
It was a diverse collection of stuff.
Okay.
Mostly CDs that my mom got me
Okay.
of different recordings of music by Beethoven, Debussy, Bach, Mozart. And then my dad played me CDs of guitar virtuosos like Pat Messini and Joe Satriani,
Oh yeah, those guys are great.
Steve Vai, Eric Johnson, Phil Keggy. There were some other ones too, but those were the ones that stuck. The ones that stuck with me are Joe Satriani and Steve Vai and Eric Johnson.
Yeah, they're amazing. Did you listen to Jeff Beck at all?
Yep.
He does an amazing cover of A Day in the Life, the Beatles
Mm,
song.
uh-huh.
It's incredible. If you get a
Mhm.
chance, listen to it.
Is
It'll
that the
blow your mind.
is that the version of A Day in the Life that's on the Beatles?
Sergeant Pepper.
Yeah, but there was a movie. It was like set in a universe where the Beatles weren't talked about, but they treated the Beatles material as if it was a part of different parts of society,
Oh, you know
it,
that.
like early 2000s. It's called Across the Universe, and they rework a lot of Beatles classics in this. It's pretty wild how the songs are used to tell the story, sort of like the Elton John biopic Rocket Man kind of a thing.
Oh, my first Beatles song I listened to was Strawberry Fields Forever. That
Mm.
really blew me away. I mean,
Nice.
it's such a scary song. It's got a lot of Mellotron on it, and at the end, I was a kid at the time, and I just had a portable record player, and
Wow.
to hear that at 8 or 9 years old, it was
Mhm.
like, holy smoke, what is this? Because I
The
think those are breakthrough records, especially Sergeant Pepper. That sort of
Yeah.
changed everything in modern music, I feel.
Technology and combining different like Indian music and then like,
Oh yeah, George Harrison.
yep. And then
Yeah,
the orchestral stuff too.
yeah. Oh yeah, they did amazing. Well, that was George Martin.
Yeah.
He was like the fifth Beatle.
Hmm.
He arranged all these people to come in that they don't really talk about on the records, but string sections. He had
Yeah.
Eric Clapton play on a song.
Hmm.
Ravi Shankar, I think even some Indian group was on Blue Jay Way. You listen to that from Sergeant Pepper. That's a real Indian-based song.
Mm.
So that was really something. So what was you listened to a lot of Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I noticed you played Trilogy, which
Yeah.
that's a complicated record.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild recording and pretty wild piece of music.
That's my favorite ELP record, Trilogy.
Mine too.
I think it's so complicated, but yet, there are parts that you were able to dissect and play, but they're not easy.
Mm-mm. That
You
takes a
know,
lot of dexterity and
yep,
a lot of listening to it, memorizing it, not just the notes, but how the notes were being played.
yeah, you really nailed it. And then, did you ever hear Switched on Bach?
No, I couldn't find a recording of that, but I've heard stories about that.
Oh, it's an amazing. I actually have a copy of it, and
Oh,
that's been a major influence on a lot of players
yeah, I
that
was like
played.
that popularized the Moog synthesizer with the piano keyboard and
Yeah, I still think Moog. I've played a lot of different keyboards because I'm a keyboardist myself, and I still think Moog still has the best sound as far as clean and you could get those low notes really that sound good. They don't crunch,
the
like some keyboards do.
yeah, and the portamento it's different from the portamento on other keyboards. Like the sound is not the same. Like it doesn't sound right. It's supposed to go
Yeah.
further, like instead of
Yep.
yeah.
And then you were at EMEAPP, right? You played the
Yeah,
Moog, the Keith Emerson Moog.
yeah, the what was it? EMEAP?
Yeah, Amy.
EMEAP.
Yeah. Yeah,
That, that was
that's a great place.
that was a wild experience
I've been
playing.
there twice,
Uh-huh.
and it's just amazing what they have there.
Hmm.
But that blew me away seeing that. And then Emerson's piano was there. Did you try that?
No.
It's a beautiful sounding piano. If you
Probably,
ever go again, play that piano.
I wonder if it's a Steinway, probably.
Oh, it's beautiful. And it's in that big hall. It's in a big room, but there's a lot of acoustics in that room that give it that sound. Plus they have a humidifier in there. They really
Mhm.
take care of it.
That's nice.
So yeah, so that's pretty good. So you're gonna have a jazz record. Are you gonna do any concerts?
I'm gonna be doing well, is this gonna be after or before my house concert that got sold out?
It is? Okay.
It's on June 24th.
June 24th in Ventura. Ventura?
Yeah, Ventura.
Yeah, Ventura.
Okay. And what instruments are you playing now? What besides I know you play Chapman stick, right? You play that also?
Yeah, a little bit, not that much, but occasionally.
You know Tony Levin, right?
Yep. Tony
He's a
11.
he's a beast.
Hmm.
Man, he's unbelievable.
Yeah, King
But
Crimson.
you like King Crimson?
Yep.
Well, there's been some new King Crimson on that's been coming out now. Some of their early stuff. I think you could probably get some of the bootlegs. They have a couple records out from them live from 73, 74, and then the 1980s King
Mhm.
Crimson.
Yeah, Bill Bruford, 2011, Adrian Belew.
Yep,
Yep.
those are quite amazing players.
Mhm.
So
I
what?
love, I also love the era with David Cross and John Wetton, the Likes, Tongues, and Aspects, Starless, and Bible Black.
That's a great record. I just spoke to a guy by the name of Jack Summerfield. He's in the David Cross band,
Oh, wow.
and he's playing like the Lark's Tongues and Aspic record in the
Nice.
shows. But the funny thing is, David Cross told him, you don't have to play exactly like Bill Bruford. Play it the way you feel it, which I
Mhm.
thought was a really nice thing to say. You didn't have to play note for note,
Oh, yeah.
which
Mhm.
is good. So back to, and then the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is Genesis. Did you like them? The early Genesis?
I like the album with Supper's Ready and Watch Up the Skies, the Peter Gabriel
Yeah, that era is great.
Foxtrot. Foxtrot. That's
You
the
sh
album.
you should listen to the band called The Musical Box.
Is that like a tribute band?
Yes, they are amazing.
I've heard of them. I haven't
Now,
really.
I interviewed a gentleman, Ian, who's in the band, and he actually carts around a real Mellotron
Oh,
for the
wow.
shows. Isn't that
Weird.
something? A double keyboard Mellotron. Now, I don't
Crazy.
know how they get that around. That thing must be a ton. Those things, they broke a lot on those tours too. I think King Crimson had a couple of them that they brought along because they have those tapes in it
Yep.
that control those keys. So those are easily breakable.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to goof around with real Mellotrons, and my late friend Gene Stopp, he was the guy that worked on Keith's Moog, and
Oh, okay.
but he passed away recently, but we used to go to his house and check out his collection of Mellotrons and to feel the vibration
Oh,
of the
imagine.
yeah, as I'm playing a note, I was like, whoa, what?
There's nothing like that instrument. You should hear them in concert when that Mellotron comes on for Watchers of the Sky. I don't know if you ever if they ever play out in California, you should just go and listen to that first song, just right at it comes right at you.
Yeah, that first chord.
Yep. It really knocks you out. So back to what are you playing now? What keyboards? Is it
Nord, Korg. I'm into piano-driven keyboards.
okay?
Nord, Korg. I have a Korg Grand Stage, and they recorded some nice big sounding pianos on
Okay.
that keyboard. So that's my two.
Do these companies let you try out the instruments? Like do they let you like do they send you like
Like if I'm at the NAMM show,
yeah, I mean Moog or
I don't
some of
know
these
how we do.
okay. So
Rolly, Rolly.
well, Mom, do they send her
Um,
instruments to play? Like endorsement?
Rarely, rarely, but we oh, here.
That's my mom.
The disembodied voice here.
That's okay.
At NAM, we stopped at the Rolly. Yeah, we stopped at the Rolly booth when we were at NAM in January, and she tried out this keyboard. What was it called? The
The
Airwave?
Airwave. It was a wild tactile.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
if you play a chord and you
There
move,
she goes.
you play a chord, you play a chord or a note or whatever, and you move your hands around up and down, left and right, and the sound changes. It goes like
Wow, that's pretty
wow.
neat.
It's like you're conducting yourself.
Boy, I'd
Yeah.
love
And
to
as
hear
soon as you
that.
hear that system, Rolly has been very
Is that
to
the
try out.
is that the
Yeah.
is that the NAMM show? That's the in California. Is that where you went to? That big
Yeah.
music show? Boy, I always wanted to go.
In
Someday I'm
Anaheim.
gonna go.
That's pretty crazy.
It
It's
is.
like the first is it like the sound chaos, and then you get to the third day, like, oh, I'm okay, I'm ready to go
You
home.
ready to leave, right? Had enough, right? Yeah,
All
that
the
can be
noise, yeah.
Plus, if you go to the drum section,
Oh.
forget it. That's an overload of overload of sound.
Jazz drums.
Oh yeah, so many solos. I'm not a big I'm not crazy about drum solos, but you know, some people go crazy with those. That's what happens.
Yeah.
So did you demonstrate any instruments there, or did you just walk around? NAMM?
Walk around and check out some instruments. If something like if like, oh yeah, I heard that Korg put out this new keyboard and I wonder what it sounds like, and then I would play it for a few minutes and be like, oh, that one's good, but I'm gonna stick with what I have right
Yeah.
now.
Well, you're
Or
comfortable
yada
with
yada.
the voices you like, the sounds you like. You know, I think Roland makes a really
Yeah.
good piano too, keyboards. They have some nice piano
Mhm.
keyboards. But that's what you want, that good feel of the sound. So the record's going to come out
Mhm.
hopefully before the end of the year. Your
Hopefully.
record.
God willing.
I started it back in like 2021, so about 5 years ago.
Okay. So just before we go to more modern music, did you how was it like meeting Keith Emerson? That must have been really exciting.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. It was at a restaurant. Um what was
I don't remember the name of it. It didn't
Typhoon?
exist
It doesn't
anymore.
exist more,
Yeah, it's not
sadly.
there anymore. They tore it
Yeah.
down, I think. Or
Was that towards the end of his life or was it
Yeah,
earlier? Oh,
towards the end of his life.
you
Yeah,
know,
and he was conducting.
that's a
He
shame.
Yeah, it's a real shame that I didn't get to experience Keith when I wasn't born yet when
Yeah,
Keith was his peak, and it was really sad because when I was listening to his studio recordings, like even some of the final stuff that he was able to record when he did the Keith Emerson band and then he did the orchestral album, like in the studio, that he was able to get the best out of the situation.
mm,
But on stage, I could tell, like I could hear, but I didn't fully understand it until after he passed away, and then it was like, oh no,
yeah. Well, he was great with the nice too.
oh
I
yeah,
mean,
that's my favorite stuff is when he was with the Nice, it was all about the organ, like the
yep,
L100 and the piano, and then the way that like he would he would take a song like Blue Rounds when he did Blue Rounds Walla Turk with the Nice, it was different from the piece because when Emerson, Lake and Palmer did it for their encores, it was more of a, theatrics. But then when he did it
right.
with the Nice, you listen to the recordings and he's actually he's quoting Sorcerer's Apprentice, and then he quotes Bach, and then he quotes a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and
Yeah, that he played that
fun
Hammond
stuff.
organ so well. I mean, he was a showman back then, but you're right, it was more playing before he even got a synthesizer. And that
Yep,
was quite an incredible thing.
69.
Did you ever hear the story about Lucky Man, the ending where he plays the Moog, where that was like a practice take?
That was the first. Yeah, he was just goofing around, and Greg Lake was like, "That's it," and Keith was like, "No, I want to." I still remember how Keith talked about it on this documentary called Beyond the Beginning, and
Okay,
he was like, "There was a lot of overdubbing in the studio,
right.
and Carl, went on this smoke solo at the very end, a
Hmm.
smoke solo, which was a one round off, and I didn't really like it."
Yeah. How about that? Yep. Well, apparently
And then
worked.
yeah, it was iconic. And then there was one moment where Keith is like, "It's stuck with me for like 35 years now, and I can't play anything else. Everybody wants that solo." And I said, "Yeah, yeah, whatever."
That's funny. Well, I got a funny
Yeah.
a funny story. My cousin used to be a dentist, and he claims now, he says it's true, but actually Keith Emerson was playing in North Jersey somewhere, and he actually came in. He had a crown come out or filling something had to be fixed with his tooth, and he was a big
Mm.
Keith Emerson fan. So to have him
No,
work on his teeth, emergency visit. I mean, the chances of that. And
that's wild.
he actually played back a tape of his voice, like, "Hey, this is really Keith Emerson," and it was hard to believe.
Hmm. This is
So,
Keith Emerson here.
yeah, yeah, that's what he did. Yeah, Peter, this is Keith
He was pretty.
Emerson here. I'm real, you know.
And that was another feature when he would try to remember the next thing, he would always say, and you know, but, you know.
So I felt bad. I felt bad he had such a problem with his hand at the end, you know. He had some kind of disease or something. What a shame.
Yeah, it's
But
a real shame.
it is losing somebody that great.
Mhm.
So what do you
And I
think?
remember, and I was, and
Go ahead. Keep going.
also I had the fortune of meeting Greg Lake too.
Oh, you did? You met Greg Lake? Ah,
Yep.
how was he? Nice guy?
Yeah, it was pretty wild. Yeah, he was a very interesting guy. Like it when I started composing, a lot of my music was very influenced by Keith Emerson.
Hmm.
And Greg had different ideas.
Hmm.
And at the, it was funny because I was really getting into some deep jazz, like are you familiar with the trio? Well, they're not the lineup anymore, but the original lineup of the Bad Plus.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know them.
The original hmm, they started out as a trio in was it Minneapolis? I
Okay.
don't remember, but the original lineup had pianist Ethan Iverson, and then Reed Anderson was on bass,
Hmm.
David King on the drums, and they made, I'm trying to remember how many albums they made as the original piano, bass, and drums lineup. But Ethan, his piano playing is pretty wild because he could go from Thelonious Monk style jazz playing to almost Charles Ives Ligeti 21st century
Oh, that's pretty neat.
polytonality. Yeah,
I
like I
gotta
would
listen to
say a
that.
good place to start would be, yeah, a good place to start would be their album These Are the Vistas, which was their major label debut.
Okay.
And that has them they rework Nirvana, Blondie, Aphex Twin, the electronic artists.
Hmm.
When and yeah, but I also enjoy their album Never Stop, which is all original material
I
from the
gotta
group.
check that out.
And yeah, and Dave King, his drumming is pretty wild because he's not just playing the drums like a normal jazz drummer. He's going into experimental territory with toys and
Hmm.
gadgets, and I don't know how he does it, but
Wow,
it's
I gotta
pretty
listen
cool
to
stuff.
that. And what's the name of the band again?
The Bad Plus.
The Bad Plus. Okay.
And
I gotta check them out.
and it's a completely different lineup now. Ethan, the
Hmm.
pianist, after the last album that featured Ethan Iverson on piano
Okay.
was back in like 2017. And Ethan, for him, after he took the music as far as they could go for about 14, 15 or so years and making, I'm trying to remember how many albums they made as the original group. They made a lot, like they made an album where they recreated the entire Stravinsky Rite of Spring
Oh my
piece.
gosh. Wow. That's pretty intense.
Yeah.
I gotta check them
Mm-hmm.
out. I can't believe I don't even know this band, but I gotta now I'm really inquisitive. That sounds pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
If you could
Yeah.
copy Stravinsky, that's something.
And what I love about Ethan's piano playing is he's one of those players that's not afraid to think outside the box as a pianist and play the entire range. Like he could go from minimalist, dreamy stuff to like thunder and rain or whatever you want to call it. And it's very cinematic and it's pretty wild.
So he plays a lot of
And
keyboards
they were one
too? Does he have a big keyboard setup?
piano,
Okay, piano.
no
Okay.
piano, like a grand
Okay.
piano for the most part.
Oh, nice.
And now yeah. And then after Ethan left the group, after pushing the music as far as it could go, he said, all right, I'm finished with that chapter. And he thought that was going to be the end of the Bad Plus. And Reed Anderson and David King kept the band going, first with a different pianist briefly, and then with a saxophonist and a guitar player. So it's a completely different lineup now, but the same bass player and drummer
Oh,
to keep the
okay.
band alive. but Ethan has done a bunch of other stuff. Like he made an album with a lot of classic legends, like Jack DeJohnette.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
Trying to think of
gotta
the other musicians.
I gotta listen to him. You gave me a new name here. I don't even know this band, so I'm curious now to hear what they sound like. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's
No, do
hmm
you do you listen to any modern music at all on, or is it just not very, do you like any new bands that you like
Oh,
or new music or
Hiatus Coyote.
oh yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, well, yeah, the Bad Plus, Brad Meldout. Hey, kitten.
A whole bunch of
That's
them.
our cat.
Yeah, okay. Oh, it's good to you're getting into jazz because, there's so much improv
hmm
you could do now with jazz. That's what makes it so much fun.
hmm
There's a
Yeah,
lot
you
of
could.
space, to create your own sound.
hmm There's so many different ways you could play the song. Sometimes you could make it a ballad or a fast tempo or put lyrics to it or just have it be an instrumental and on the spot.
Well, I like experimental
Mhm.
music too. So it's nice that if you could just play, not think of anything, and just play and see what
Yep.
happens. Sometimes that can,
hmm
if you have people that you play with are in tune with you and you're playing, sometimes really some amazing stuff can happen. And
hmm
if, a
Yeah.
lot of there are
Cool.
classically trained musicians who can't improvise for some reason, and that's what you're really to be a well-rounded musician. I think you need that part of your talent too to be able to say, okay, let's just not think of anything, sit down and
hmm
play and see what
Yeah.
happens.
Like, hmm
I think
That was
that's
what was cool.
important.
Yeah. It's funny when you talked about being a classical musician because I started out for the most part as a classical pianist. And a lot of the music I was studying by ear. I didn't read Braille music
Right,
except flute music. Flute music is easier to read in Braille because I could sing it while reading Braille with both my left and right hand. But if it's piano music, forget it. It's easier to listen to it by ear and rather than having to remember, okay, I
right.
gotta let go of my left hand and read the Braille with my other hand,
Oh
and
my
then
gosh.
okay, what did I do? And then read the read and even the way that the intervals are written out because you get the top note, but then you have to figure out, okay, what is the next note because it doesn't say the exact note, so it's a bit of a problem for me. So yeah, flute and vocal music is much easier to read in Braille
Mm.
because the notes are right there. It's just one note, and you could just sing it
Oh
and read
yeah.
the Braille with both hands.
Now,
Yeah.
do you play saxophone also? Have you
A little
tried
bit.
that?
Yeah, it's it's been a while since I've played the saxophone. I haven't really recorded on it. Um, uh, I have an alto saxophone,
Yeah,
but it's been a while.
you have to be coordinated with your fingers and mouth to really get it in sync to be a good, I think, a sax player. But
hmm
that's
It's
not an
pretty,
easy instrument.
no, it the part that's a bit of a challenge is finding the right reed on because it's a
Oh,
reed.
okay.
So depending
Mm,
on the reed, if you want to use a harder reed or a lighter reed, and the sound's going to be different, the intonation is going to be different. So I kind of have to like change my mouth in order to make it not sound too
yeah,
sharp or too flat. So there's a lot of that going on.
I'm
And
sure. I didn't think about that. You're right.
Mhm.
Now,
Yeah.
do you have perfect pitch where you're
Mhm.
able to, just hear something and then play it? I'm sure, right?
Yep. Mhm.
That's quite a gift.
Thanks.
I have a gentleman I went to high school with. His name is David Rosenthal,
That name
and
sounds familiar.
he's now the director of the Billy Joel band.
Okay.
And I remember in high school, I was a drummer, and I played a jam with him, and he was actually playing hoedown in high school.
Oh, wow.
He had a Moog synthesizer at the time. Yep. He's a nice guy. He's from
Nice.
I think he lived in New Jersey. I don't know where he lives now. But
Mm.
yeah, he's a guy you should check out. He's quite a talent.
I've heard that name.
Yeah. So anything else you want to talk about, Rachel? I mean, where do we find your music? On Bandcamp? Mom, is that she there?
Bandcamp is the place.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's
You
everybody's
want to
going on.
pop?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Bandcamp, it
Okay.
works.
I have to use the restroom.
Oh, can you pause for a minute for her?
You on Spotify too, or that platform?
Can he? I don't know if he could hear you.
I don't know. Can you pause for a few minutes? She's
Sure.
gotta go take care of something.
That's okay. So thank you for getting this together.
Welcome.
This has been she
I'm sorry,
she
it's a,
she got into it after, it's not easy doing interviews. But this
no,
is
uh, she'll be back in a minute. but,
okay.
take
So
care of
this has
something.
been quite
You
a
know what,
so this has been quite a
sorry.
journey. Is there other people in your family that have talent like this? How did she get this talent? It's really great.
Well, she got an extra dose, that's for sure. Her dad and I both play
Okay.
and had played in bands for many years before she came along.
Okay.
And my mom and my dad was a band leader. He had a
Oh,
country
okay.
band, played clubs around, and my mom was also in the band. She played drums and then she played guitar. My dad played guitar and bass.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so she's been around it, from the beginning.
That's great. So it's in her genes, right? To be a
Yeah, pretty
musician.
much.
But
Mhm.
she's taken it a step further. I mean, when I saw her
Yeah.
on TV, on YouTube playing all those ELP on the Moog, I said, wow, at a
Mhm.
young age.
Yeah, she started doing that, and I was like, okay, this is going a different place than I thought. I
Yeah.
expected her when she started the piano, of course, like she said, when she was 2.5, and just
Mm,
really dove into it quickly. And I really thought she was going to be a concert pianist
mm,
because she was
right,
classic, playing Beethoven and Debussy and Rachmaninoff, and still really loves all that music. And then she heard, I'll ask her to talk about it when she comes
okay.
back down. She heard the Moog, she heard
Mm.
ELP, and it just changed her
Clicked,
life.
right? Just clicked,
Yeah,
right? That's it.
it really did. And just the way that they um melded together elements of rock and classical and
Right.
jazz, and that just hit all the right buttons for her.
Well, there was nobody more talented than Keith Emerson as far as taking the keyboards and synthesizer to a next level that I don't think we've seen again. At that it was a magical period for music, I think, from the Beatles, Sergeant Pepper, 66 through the 70s. There's so much great music happening.
Oh yeah, and taking the organ out of the church and putting it in a rock band was
Right,
incredible thing, and it just created an explosion of creativity.
right, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was just especially from England. There was, and then Laurel Canyon and England had just some such talent, young guys too.
Yeah.
They were in early 20s doing
I
this.
know, yeah, you read about it and you see, oh my God, it was 20 years old, and
Yeah,
it's mind-boggling.
you think to yourself, wow, how'd they come up with 21st century schizoid man, right?
Yeah.
At, at, at
Yeah.
1920, right? What were these guys thinking, right? It's just
It's hard.
amazing. So yeah, it's quite something and I've been interviewing some people from that era, so it's really been great. to talk to people
That's cool.
that have played, and behind the scenes too. There's some people that don't get any recognition. I just spoke to somebody that played with Cyndi Lauper for 10 years.
Oh,
Knox Chandler, and he had all these stories, Depeche Mode, and psychedelic fur, all these great bands that you wouldn't think of somebody doing, but it's nice to talk to those people behind the scenes, that because everybody's talking to the big stars,
Oh.
but
Yeah. I mean, to meet, we met, we saw your interview, we saw your interview with, well, the most recent one you did with Andre Chumley.
okay. Oh yeah, I know him.
Yeah,
He's a
and
great guy.
he is. We met him through
Ah,
Lake, and he was just the stories he has to tell. Oh my
I
God,
know.
what a
Steve-
great interview that was.
Well, he was talking to he was a roadie for Steve Howe. I mean, geez. Here,
Yeah.
Pat Metheny,
Here she is.
all right, you're back.
I'm back.
So we were talking about Andre. You had a good interview with Andre Chamel. Yeah, what a guy.
Mm-hmm.
He had some great stories.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about some of the new bands you like, and so are you gonna do any like classical type of music coming up, original, or is it just gonna be more jazz oriented?
I'm not really sure. I mean, I like to how do I do this?
That's fine, right there.
So
Um, I'm not sure. For a while I was thinking of classical flute, and then I don't know, I guess with classical flute it's a bit of a challenge because I have to remember, because you have to play it, you have to articulate the music the same way every single time. And I kind of forgot that.
that's not easy. Yeah, that classical flute must be really tough.
Yeah, it's funny because there were both sides to it. Like on one hand, what I liked about studying classical flute was the structure of the music, how it was structured. And I thought, hey, it's like a pop song, like a Mozart flute concerto.
Mm,
How it's you have the orchestra plays the hook, and then the flute plays the hook, or I call it the hook. It's like the main theme, but then
right.
as the piece, and then you go to all these different modulations. It's like this is like the bridge of a pop song, and then back to the hook, and then it gets more fancy, and it gets more fancier when the hook comes around. It's like a pop song.
Isn't that something? That's got to be a lot of years of study to be a really great classical flute player. That's got a lot of breathing and articulating with your breathing. That's got to be not easy.
Yeah, and you got to remember exactly when to put the vibrato, when not to put the vibrato, and yeah, when to breathe, and okay, let's slow it down a little bit here so I can get a full breath.
Right.
And you have to have a good accompanist.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you do. You really do. That's good. That takes a lot of skill to do that.
It's rare.
So now the modern music has got this AI, artificial intelligence, and I think, that'll level out, I think, because I think people will just know when it's a real song and when it's fabricated in 2 minutes, but
Yeah, it's pretty funny how that even with the way that the human voice is recreated, like
oh, it's terrible.
it's scary.
Yeah, it is. It's so realistic.
It almost sounds like a real voice, and then a few seconds it actually sounds like a choir.
Right. You could tell. I mean, if you listen close enough,
Yeah.
you could tell it's not real, but put together real, but in a computer way. This is how the computer thinks it should sound like, what's ever programmed into it. So I don't know, but I think the thing too is people always still want to go hear live music.
Mhm.
There'll always be a need for people to hear music, hear it through speakers and feel that live energy. I think that's what I think is still gonna keep us going,
Yeah.
because there's such a overload of music on Bandcamp. There's
Mhm.
so much to weed through.
Yeah.
It's like you're in a big ocean trying to paddle your way to the shore. Where is this going? But
Yeah. Crazy.
there's great bands out there, but then there's a lot of garbage.
Yeah,
You
there's
know,
both.
you know, there's
Yeah.
back in the day there wasn't as much, to concentrate on. Now everybody can make music so quickly and easily.
Yeah. And then it's so weird because recently I was listening to the Manhattan Transfer. They were the vocal group.
They were great. I remember them.
And I got to experience them one time with Take Six, two vocal groups performing together.
Oh, wow.
And then after the concert, I immediately started composing this new song, and it happened really fast, and I finished writing it. It's one of the songs that needs live horns for my jazz vocal album.
Oh, I got to hear that. Now, do you actually sing too? Are you a vocalist
Yeah,
too?
yeah.
Oh, that's great.
hmm
Yeah, if you could use your voice, that's even a bigger plus.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's pretty crazy because for a while when I was singing, it was I'm not sure how to describe it.
So,
Like on my first, like all the singing on my albums, that's me on Listen Going Somewhere.
okay.
So I play all the instruments, all the orchestration. That stuff was actually with virtual orchestral sample libraries.
Nice.
Yeah. So I was playing everything live on the keyboard, so I wasn't using notation. It was all played in real time to make it sound like a live orchestra.
Mm.
Kind of.
Now, do you play and sing at the same time, or you do the vocals separate?
In the studio, it's separate.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then there's easy concentration that way. Plus the way that I have my recording gear set up, it's easier for me to do the instrumental parts first and then
Right. Okay,
yeah. And
that makes sense.
get the best out of each take and
Right.
enunciate, like did I enunciate that word, or was my vibrato right on this part of the song, or
Mm,
was too much? It's like those tiny little details that I find myself focusing on a lot.
mm. Now, do you do this at home, your own
Yeah.
home studio? Oh, that's good. You don't have to worry about the clock and how
Yeah.
much money it is an hour.
Other big producers, no, you got to change it like this. No, it needs
Yeah,
it.
I hate that.
Yeah, I've had experiences like that. It's pretty weird. It's pretty weird, but no, it for my own albums, it's all just me at the house with
That's great.
it's fun. It's then when I was about 5 years old, my piano teacher David Pinto, who
Mm,
also taught computers like computers for the blind so that they could look like how did
You get access.
access the technology, like recording software or whatever. I get the stuff mixed up, but finding ways for me to navigate on the computer so I could record music myself, DIY.
oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah, so I've been doing it since I was 5 years old, and
Wow.
yeah, so it's been pretty crazy. And the first thing that we got once we got my audio gear set up at the time when I was living in Oxnard, I think it was 2014, 2015. We got me hooked up with my recording equipment so I could finally record myself playing real guitar, real
Mm,
bass, drums on a keyboard, and the first stuff that I did were the Frank Zappa material sound.
wow, that's something.
hmm And then we got in touch with Dweezil, and I got to jam with him couple times, and it's pretty crazy.
That's really something. So you've been playing. You've met some pretty A-list musicians there. Have you met Rick Wakeman too? Have
I
you?
don't
You met him once. You met him at
at the
Birmingham.
Birmingham
He's
tribute. I
he's he's pretty up there in the keyboard ranks.
don't, yeah,
But
he's more into the sort of that mechanical precision type of,
right, that's true.
yeah. Whereas Keith, I think what I loved about Keith Emerson is he was all about combining Bach and jazz blues organ from players like Jimmy Smith and Jack McDuff, and the way that he
Mm,
brought both of those worlds simultaneously. He like one measure, he's playing Bach influenced ideas, and then the next second, he's diving into the blues like Jimmy Smith. It's
isn't
like,
that
whoa.
something? Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. There's nobody like Keith, and I didn't think anybody would be able to replicate it like you do. I mean, and I really never saw anybody like it. You are a special talent there, Rachel.
Thanks.
You are, and it's really great I've met you and have you come on and talk about your music, because I'm sure there's a lot of fans out there
I
that.
remember the first time I heard ELP, I was about 9 years old, I think.
And what was the first record you heard?
Trilogy.
Oh yeah, that's your best one.
Because
You
it had
sti-
the Enigma, the fugue, and then when it got to the title track of the synthesizer, I was using a cassette tape recorder to record the music at the time.
Mm,
And I was like, what is this? And I didn't know what it was. I just liked the sound of it. And then later on, my mom bought me a CD called The Best of Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And I'm going through the tracks really fast just to find
right.
out. And I get to the very end. That's the song I tried recording on that cassette tape recorder.
How about that?
Yeah,
Wow.
this is it. That's the song. And then we
Yeah.
did and then we were able to download the full the ELP catalog.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well,
So
now, yeah, because there's a piano solo on that with Carl Palmer coming in on brushes that is just really just great. I mean, the way he plays. I like Tarkus also. That's a
me
good
too.
record.
Yeah, that's my favorite with the organ and the piano.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
that was a really good record.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't make records like that anymore. I mean, those guys were just incredible.
Yeah, they were in
And
their creative peak.
they were, and young guys. Young,
Yep.
they were, 20, 19, 20. It's amazing how they
Yeah.
came up with that stuff.
Hmm.
I was telling your mom, a 21st Century Schizoid Man is one of my
Oh.
all-time favorite songs. I mean, that
That's
is complicated.
It's pretty
And
wild. Yeah.
I'm going to be talking to a guy by the name of Jackus, I believe his name is. He's
I'll
in
go Jack.
yeah,
He's in the new lineup with the three drummers.
yep. I'm pretty
Yep.
excited to talk to him.
Yeah, with the Porcupine Tree drummer Gavin Harrison.
Yeah, he's great.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
he's played. I found out he's played in other bands before King Crimson with Gavin.
Oh,
So
wow.
he's got quite a history with him.
Mhm.
So it's pretty amazing.
Mhm.
So anyway, I think we should call it a night, and I'll let you go here. And I want to thank you for doing this.
You're welcome.
I'm glad you got a little more comfortable as we went along here.
Me too.
Yeah, it was a really good interview, and I know music, so I love ELP and all that prog music, and it's fascinating, all this stuff, and keep up playing all this great music you do, and you're quite a talent. So I'm curious to see what jazz music you come up with.
Yeah, it's sort of like what I want to do is come up with something unusual that's like Ella Fitzgerald meets modern pianists like Brad Mehldau and hip hop drumming like A Tribe Called Quest or The Roots.
Wow, that sounds
Shredding,
interesting.
yeah, shredding guitar like Joe Satriani and Prince type.
Wow, nobody like Prince.
Mm-mm.
Wow. You're
Yeah.
talking about somebody that was just amazing on guitar.
Hmm.
He was a shredder, and
Yep.
plus, sing and play at the same time, all this great stuff. I
Yep.
never get tired of any Prince music.
Hmm.
And David Bowie too. Did you listen to David Bowie?
Hmm. Yep.
He always had interesting records.
I got to play with his pianist, Mike Garson, one time at NAMM.
Oh, wow.
Yep. We were jamming on some jazz standards, and that
Hmm.
was crazy.
Yeah, Michael was on a lot of Bowie records. It's amazing.
Yeah, Aladdin Sane.
Yep. Well, Bowie always got the right people for the right record. So he was always getting good people to play on his records. That's why not only he sounded good, but the band.
hmm Yeah, towards the end, he knew the players that he wanted that would give him that artistic vision.
Yeah. Black Star is a pretty creepy record, right? It's very, very dark.
Mhm.
Man, that's really a very good record, but strange.
That moment in time.
Yep, it was. Tony Visconti
Yep.
did the last record.
Yep. Tony Visconti also produced Esperanza Spalding's sort of math rock influenced albums.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yep. I mean, like she started off, the singer and bass player, she started off doing jazz, like traditional jazz
Right.
acoustic stuff. And then she made a fusion type of an album. And then she did sort of these math rock influenced concepts type albums with Tony Visconti producing.
Wow, I didn't know that. I gotta
Yeah.
check that out.
hmm
Did you ever hear of the band Ambrosia?
Yep. I love their stuff.
They were great.
Somewhere
They're,
the Somewhere I've Never Traveled album.
yeah, I think was that their first record?
That's their second.
Yeah, whatever they did with Tony Visconti is really good.
Mm.
Yeah, I think they I don't know if he produced it or not, but they were good.
Alan Parsons produced the
The
first couple of Ambrosia
Oh, he
albums.
did? Okay. I didn't
Mhm.
know that.
Yep, and the vocal harmonies and the orchestrations, it's
Mm,
pretty crazy. Like you have synthesizers and then the live orchestra, like Cowboy Star, you start with the synthesizers and then you get to the live orchestra, and it's pretty cool.
yeah, I mean, they were ahead of its time too. And
hmm
I don't think they get the recognition like they should. A
Yeah.
band like that. There was an American band called Star Castle. Did you ever hear of them?
Mm.
They had one really good record out, their first record. Check
Mm.
them out. It was kind of like, sort of like Yes a little bit, but they had little ELP. If you get a
Uh-huh.
chance, check them out, their first record.
Wow.
They were from the 70s also.
hmm
So they were one of the few prog bands I listened to from the US at that time.
hmm
So, and then you had all the German music too, Tangerine Dream, and
hmm
all that really serious electronic music there.
Work and
Yep. Yeah, they're
yeah.
still playing Kraftwerk, still doing shows.
Fun of the Autobahn.
That's it. That was ahead of its time.
My Uncle Lonnie played me some Kraftwerk a while ago.
Oh, he did. Yeah, good. They
hmm
have some good drum machines, and they were quite a band. They still are, but not like they were.
They were at that time.
There's another band you should check out called Can,
Yeah,
CAN.
I've
Have
heard
you
that.
heard of them?
It's a little bit, not a lot, but I've
They
heard of
have they were that a really great keyboard player. He studied with Stockhausen and
Oh
all
wow.
these serious classical players. But they had a weird groove. They did a lot of jams. Check them out. The record you should check out, Tego Mago.
Tego Mago.
Yeah, it's a double record, but there's some really, really great stuff on there. It's some good songs.
hmm
If you get a chance, check out Can. They were a German band from the late 60s, 70s.
hmm
So anyway, well, that's good for tonight. And I want to thank you for doing this. And maybe we could talk again at some time and
Yeah.
see after your record comes out.
Yeah,
Talk
definitely.
about it a little bit. Maybe we could go over the record of the songs and you could talk about them.
Yeah. I think we were going to talk about Bigger on the Inside at one point
Oh
too.
yeah, let's hear about that. How you doing, Mom? Doing good?
I'm fine. I'm okay here.
She's having a good time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so let's hear about that before we
Mhm.
finish up. Let's hear about Bigger on the Inside.
Yeah. So 2019, I went to Cruise to the Edge, and I got to hear Adrian Blue's set at this one afternoon. And I immediately went back to the cabin. I'm trying to remember, I forgot where it was, but I
Right.
remember humming this idea after Adrian Blue's concert, and I was like, okay, I need to make this recording before I get back home. So then once I got back home, I finished writing the song and
Mm,
did it. AB, the first song on the album, sort of this prog jazz fusion-esque instrumental kind of a thing.
I got to hear that. Okay.
Yeah. So that song is very influenced by King Crimson, maybe a little bit of,
Mm,
not sure what else. It's like guitar heavy, it's got some synthesizers, it's got some jazzy guitars, piano, like Rhodes piano moments and stuff. And
were you playing mostly guitar on that record, or was it guitar influenced by Adrian Belew? Was it mostly guitar on the record?
yeah, it's I don't know how to describe it. It's like,
Wasn't there a pipe organ on it too? Did you play
yeah,
that?
yeah, the pipe organ was actually, I was trying to recreate the sound of a real pipe organ using the Garriton. There's a virtual instrument called the Garriton pipe organ or something like
Okay.
virtual library. And unfortunately, the samples did not have the helicopter low notes like on a humongous pipe organ. So I had to
Hmm.
fake it to play an extra octave down to get that sound. Because what was going through my mind was the Ambrosia Somewhere I've Never Traveled,
Hmm.
that whole album with the pipe organ and the orchestration and the vocals and the harmonies. And
I got to
so
hear this.
yeah, so I wanted to make my own version of that type of music because I at the time I was listening to a lot of Ambrosia and then Spock's Beard, the Neil Morse era.
Yeah, he's a great guitarist.
Mhm. And I was also listening to some classical music, and I know I would check out other like prog rock bands that had female vocals, but they were very different from the my favorite male performers. And so I was
Right.
like, I want to hear a type of sort of a almost prog rock that takes a cue from Ambrosia and Alan Parson and some Focus, the
Hmm.
band Focus, with Thijs Van Leer's organ playing and flute playing. And but I don't play flute on this album. But
Okay.
so I wanted to write an epic piece that was going to modulate to all these different keys. And even though the time signature changes sometimes at like waltz time, or it's in seven, or
Right.
it's, but I wanted it to be in this danceable groove, like
Hmm.
this do do cha chicka do cha chicka do cha chicka cha,
Okay.
and very danceable, like a funky danceable kind of a groove with unusual chord changes.
Wow.
And
That
yeah,
sounds intense.
and just have some fun
Yeah,
with.
you might as well, right? I got to hear this.
Mhm.
I'm
And
intrigued. That's
yeah,
really something. How
thanks.
you can put all this together like that.
A lot of it, a lot of the most of the time I'm improvising the entire piece on that piece. It was the pipe organ sounds from the Garrettson virtual library, the sample library.
Okay.
So I was just, hey kitten,
Going
the
through
cat's
all
like,
that. Oh, how about that?
yeah. And
That
then
sounds neat.
yeah. And then played the drums on my keyboard. And when I play drums on a keyboard, it's how do I describe it? There's a video of me doing Frank Zappa's Zombie Wolf, and you could see me how I play the drums on the keyboard.
Oh, I got to see that.
Yeah, it was a while ago. It was like I forgot when it was, but it was quite a while ago.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
we didn't talk about, didn't you do a documentary? Uh,
yeah, yeah,
that's a,
hearing is believing.
we gotta believe, I gotta see that. Is that available on, like, people can hear it and see it on, I guess on the internet, right?
Stream it on Peacock.
Peacock.
Okay,
It moves
Probably.
around.
It
that's
moves
good to
around.
know.
Yeah. But so yeah, Take Me Away. And then what else? And then
So,
the third song, Too Much, that was sort of at the time I was listening to a mixture of David Bowie, Nine Inch Nails.
wow.
Yeah. So a bunch of crazy stuff. And lyrically, it was inspired by an idea that one of my other friends had for a conceptual album thought. And I wanted to not make it be a humongous concept album because I wanted the story to be just on one song, like the structure of a Taylor Swift or a John Mayer song, but with harmonies and
Mm,
instrumentation inspired by Nine Inch Nails and Porcupine Tree and Steven Wilson solo material. So
man, that sounds like very intense.
yeah, it was crazy.
Well, you decide to make a crazy record, right? To put all that together.
Yeah.
I gotta hear this now.
Mhm.
Now,
And then the fourth song, Love Today, that's that's one of the more not how do I describe it? It's like I heard that entire song in a dream
oh
one.
wow. Hmm,
Yeah.
the
And
whole song, wow.
yep, the whole song, including the instrumentation, the guitars, the sound of
Wow, that's incredible.
And what I did is I made a voice memo reciting the entire dream and the music, and then I made some tweaks for the a few moments of the song and wrote the rest of the words and then recorded it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really amazing.
Thanks.
Now I gotta hear that. I really gotta hear that song. And there was just four songs on the record. Is that they long songs?
Oh, Take Me Away is that's the first epic song on the
Okay.
album. So after let's see.
So
That's song number 4. Song number 5, I'm trying to remember now. This Is the Way I Am.
now, was this during the whole COVID period that you were working
No,
on this or before?
it was recorded. Well, it got started before
Okay.
so right around 2017, 2018,
Oh,
2019.
okay.
Yeah. So I'm always revising the compositions and tweaking things every once in a while.
Those kind of records, that takes a long time to do a record like this. That must have been really very serious music there.
Yeah, the
Wow.
mixing was the serious part, but like the recording part was just I'm just gonna have some fun and
Yeah.
go crazy. And then at the end of the day, it was okay. I want the mixes to have. I want to focus on what's the important thing that the average listener is going to hear.
Mm,
What is the least important thing?
right. Oh,
And what do I take out? And all the production stuff. And it's pretty crazy. But at the end of the day, it's like, hey, I'm very listen back to it and go, oh yeah, I remember this. Oh, I forgot about this.
now did you mix it yourself or did you go to a
Uh,
studio?
I mixed it myself
Mm,
using my recording tools and my screen reader at the time,
right.
which was JAWS on the Windows computer. Now
Mm,
I'm now on a Mac computer using VoiceOver and the recording program Reaper, which
okay.
already has been a game changer for me. I don't have everything set up yet. I have most of it, but not everything, so we're about halfway. But
Still,
uh,
that's good. Well, it's great. You're getting more tools of the trade or tools to help you
yeah.
and to because you have all this talent in you to come out. Still, you still have a big career ahead of you. So we can't imagine what all this music that's going to be happening. It's fantastic.
Thanks.
So anyway, well, we'll talk again sometime. I think I've run out of time here.
Oh,
Well, thanks for coming on